Hi, with the community. This is the October 24 Power. Yes, we're so powerful. We say it twice. Power Platform Community Call. We are halfway into October. Oh my, falling into fall. We are so excited because we got some amazing things in store for everyone in the community. My name is David Warren, the Quizzitive, and my co-host Shane Young. Shane, how are you?
I'm very powerful. Is that the right way to stay on track there?
Powerful, I guess, right? Yeah, we're just like making words up. All right, let's get into our agenda. We've got some talking to do today about community resources. We got some community samples, news and events with April Dunham. We've got our group picture time with Together Mode that everyone is always excited about, so get those fantastic faces ready. And then we got a little bit of an adjustment to the agenda for today for the demos. Douglas was scheduled, as you saw on the agenda, but guess what? Life happens. Literally, life happens. He is welcoming his new baby girl at the hospital as we speak, so we wish him all the best. We'll get him rescheduled. But we still have three amazing, or at least two amazing demos for you today. Manish is going to cover fallback mechanism for UI automation and Power Automate for desktop. And then, of course, the one and only Shane Young, our fellow co-host is here. He's going to start talking about stop using Gallery.Selected tips and tricks. And then I'll be showing a demo on Power Apps component libraries. So don't sleep on those. Super, super powerful and excited to share it with you. But first, let's talk about some resources that are available to each and every one of you. Now, if you're new to the call, this is new to you. If you're not, you're like, why are we still talking about this every call? Because guess what? We got new ones joining the call all the time. So if you're new, shout it out in the chat. Let us know. We want to welcome you and appreciate your time. With that said, we've got all these resources. We've got Microsoft Community Learning videos. This is a YouTube channel where things like these calls are hosted, demos are hosted, other wonderful things from the community and Microsoft are there. Almost on average, a new video every single day, so lots of content. We got our LinkedIn group for discussions. This is an area where all of you are welcome to chime in and collaborate within the community on the LinkedIn platform. We've got open source tooling. We've got sample galleries, so things like Power Platform samples, Power prompts, which we'll talk about. Now, all you got to do is remember one little URL, just one, aka.ms/community/home will give you access to all this amazing goodness. And guess what? It's absolutely free. So take advantage of it. Now, as you're watching today, you may be like, I really love Power Platform, and I want to show some things that I've learned that are really cool. Well, guess what? We welcome each and every one of you to do just that. All you have to do is fill out a form, let us know what you'd like to talk about. And if you've never presented before, it's A-OK. We'll buddy you up with someone, whether it be Shane or me or someone else on the team, maybe April or someone that would like to collaborate with you. We'll do it together. We'll even present together, make you feel confident and comfortable. It'll be wonderful. And don't overthink it. Don't think, well, I have to come up with some sort of, amazing contraption that'll fly around the globe. Don't have to do that. It could be a simple solution that you find valuable. And if you find it valuable, I guarantee someone else will. So please don't hesitate. Fill out the form, aka.ms/request/demo. Putting the link in the chat for everybody that's live and let us know. We'll get you hooked up. Okay, let's talk about some samples and badges. The first one is a sample. Kate couldn't be here today, but she's wanted me to cover this for her. We've got a Power Automate sample on updating created by and a Microsoft list by Glenn Pearson. So Glenn, thank you. Glenn submitted a sample during what is it? Hacktoberfest. And so he is going to get a badge. We'll talk about that in a minute. We welcome all other samples. Glenn, thank you. Please get those samples in. And if you're thinking, I do want to contribute a sample, but how do I do that? I don't know. That's where Sharing is Caring comes in. This is a program that provides live, hands-on guidance. What does that mean? It means that we schedule sessions. We're getting one scheduled for late October, early November. These are live Teams calls that we'll join in. We'll walk you through things like what is GitHub, how to maneuver the samples that are already out there and use them if you'd like, how to contribute to the samples, how to update some of the samples, or collaborate with others that are building samples. We know GitHub is complex, confusing, and uses words like fork and blame and raw, all of which mean nothing, make no sense. But once you understand them, they do kind of make sense, and you can navigate that labyrinth. So we're going to walk you through in a live session on how to make a contribution. And guess what? It is a contribution you're going to make on those calls. It is a safe space, not recorded, so you can ask any and all questions that you would like without the fear of thinking, should I already know this? No one else is asking the question. Does that mean I should have already known the answer? No, we're going to learn together. Everybody starts from somewhere. So keep an eye out, ak.ms/sharing is caring. And once you do contribute, We love it. Our recognition program is here to provide recognition of the amazing work that you are doing. That means that you will get these accredited badges. These are formal and official. They can be associated to your LinkedIn profile, added to your resume, put them on your blog, put them on the fridge, send them to the friends and family, let them know you're awesome. Jokes aside, absolutely let your clients and managers know about them and show them, because it means that you are making a difference in a formal and official way in the community, and we appreciate it, and you are being recognized for it. That means that, hey, that's a reason why they should sign up with you on your contract, or why you should get that raise. Where are we in the scheme of time? Promptober, Hacktoberfest. These are special edition badges you can only get in October. So Promptober, all you got to do is submit a prompt. Easy. It's super easy. Come up with a prompt and put it into our prompt library, and that's it. You're going to get a badge, and you're going to help others. April's helping run that. It's super, super valuable and one of the easiest ways to start contributing. So if you're not sure, look for that Sharing is Caring session, and we will get you taken care of, and we'll contribute together. It'll be awesome. All right, so let's move into our news and events. One of the first events is TechCon coming up in November, the Dallas edition, November 11th through the 15th. Lots of amazing, awesome collaboration opportunities there. We've also got ESP in Stockholm coming up in the end of December, so take advantage of that. A lot of these have low-code tracks in them, so we want to make sure that we recognize all the hard work that's going on around the globe. We've also got ESPC coming up in May of next year, and this is kind of a trio, a hat trick, if you will, for you hockey fans. The European Collaboration Summit, the European AI and Cloud Summit, and the European BizApp Summit, all in one place. Man, that's a lot of power. See what I did there? A lot of power, all in one place. Of course, we know that there is a ton of other communities events going on all around the world, and we appreciate all the work that you're doing. You can get access to these at ak.ms/community days. Scottish Summit is kicking off today. Collab Days Johannesburg. A lot of other amazing, awesome things going on around the globe. So please support your local community. There's a lot of hard work that goes into making these things possible. And if they are even remote, you can support them remotely. But if they're local, go check them out. Let them know how much you appreciate the work that they're putting in. Guess what? It is the news time. The more you know. April Dunham's here to share the news with us.
All right, we have a lot of news this month. So first, the data workspace is now generally available. So this is that experience in Power Apps where you can work with these complex data models, and it creates an entity relationship diagram. So that is generally available in 9 different languages worldwide: English, French, German, Spanish, Dutch, Danish, Italian, Japanese, and Portuguese, all supported with that. The other thing that was big announced at the Power Platform Conference is Plan Designer. So there is a limited private preview for this. This is a brand new experience to not only build those data models like we can with Data Workspace, but it actually walks you through the requirements gathering process. It helps generate user stories and can actually suggest what assets you need to be able to create and help you create those. So this is Canvas apps, but also model-driven apps, and even Power Automate workflows. The other new update we have is another episode of the Power Apps Pulse. That's where we share some incremental updates of some of those low-hanging fruit maker experience improvements. Key ones for this last month are modern theming. We can now lock a color property. We have been all waiting for this for a while. So we can lock and have a true theme according to the color that we want. And we can actually import MSF files directly from the Power Apps portal without having to go open up a Power App and open it up that way. So those were the 2 biggest improvements there. And Copilot agents. That was another big announcement from the Power Platform Conference there, where we can have these agents in Copilot Studio that can run on our behalf as well. As far as from the Learn side, we have a brand new Learn path created by Gomo on the Power Platform Advocacy team that walks you through creating solutions with AI and Copilot. So this is a holistic lab where you can create a Power App, Power Automate, AI Builder in there, a Power Page, end-to-end real estate solution. It walks you through all the steps you need to be able to build that, and Copilot Studio, of course. And there's a brand new module to how to set up low-code plugins on the Learn side. So definitely check all that out. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you. There's so much goodness. We put the links in the chat, everybody. And for those that are watching on demand, it'll be in the show notes. So check it out. Thank you, April. All right. Well, what time is it? It is picture time. So get those cameras turned on and those fantastic faces ready. We'll set up our together mode here. And we'll turn that on, move this over here, and y'all are looking great already. Yes. Love to see it. All right. I see Vesa. All right, still got some room here. Plenty, you know, these things just dynamically grow. It looks like we got Norm down there. Shane is already setting the example, dancing. All right, anybody else? Come on, we got a couple more seats. We're doing good on time, so we can take a second here. Looking good, looking good. Oh, look at that, it's expanding. All right, looking great, everybody. Let's kick this thing off. 3, 2, 1. All right, show everybody. Let's wave. Yeah. Woo! Looking fantastic. Great to see you all. Thank you all for showing up. You're doing amazing in the community. Really appreciate all the work that you do and the passion that you show each and every day. Looking great. Excellent. Okay. Well, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. And for that, we are going to start with our demos. And first up is going to be Manish. Manish is going to cover fallback mechanism for UI automation and Power Automate for desktop. So Manish, whenever you would like, feel free to take it on over.
Sure, David. I'm sharing my screen.
All right. Yep. Looks great. If you just want to hide that little thing on the bottom that says Teams is sharing your screen, it looks better for the video.
Yes.
Perfect. Oop.
Sorry.
That's okay. We're doing good on time. You're all good.
Okay. Just a minute.
No problem. We'll edit all this silence out in post, everybody. It'll be like it never happened. But you can tell your kids you were here when it happens.
Does that mean I should make funny noises or something? So since you have to edit
Good, yeah, we
out?
can just we can crickets.
Uh,
All right, looks great, awesome.
So hello everybody. Thanks for giving me this opportunity and platform to share my experience. I'm going to talk about fallback mechanism for UI automation in desktop flow. Before I begin, I like to give a quick introduction. My name is Manish Solanki. I am a tech enthusiast with vast experience in Microsoft Platforms technology stack. I specialize in designing and implementing solutions using low-code tools, especially in Power Automate and Power Apps. During this session, I will cover the most common problem experienced during UI automation. Next, we will discuss about the solution and underlying technique. Post that, we will cover the benefit of setting up the fallback feature. After that, we'll discuss how screen resolution impact the fallback mechanism. Then we will jump on the hands-on session to cover the end-to-end use case. And lastly, we'll cover the list of known issues and limitations. Most common problem we face in UI automation are when underlying application that is set up or provisioned environment, especially in dev or test, has different classes or identifier for UI element as compared to production environment. So when we push desktop flow in production, the desktop flow will not able to identify those UI elements and will ultimately fail. Secondly, we have observed that sometime post update of Power Platform app, the desktop flow fails to identify the UI elements. The second scenario, this happens on random basis. Coming to the solution, some of the solution are enabling image fallback feature. On the right side, we can see image as fallback button in the selected design window. We will cover the details later in the demo. The image fallback feature internally use image recognition technique. With this technique, the flow captures an image of UI element, and using that image, it searches for a UI element on the screen at runtime. On finding that image, it returns the screen coordinates. We can perform various actions like button click, keystroke press with the help of those coordinates on the screen. So this is how image fallback feature works. Now coming to benefits, the key benefits of fallback mechanism are, first of all, it is a reliable solution for UI automation that reduce the risk of error at runtime. This also reduces the delay caused by missing elements. Setting up fallback feature improves the efficiency of business and thereby saves the time and money. The screen resolution play a vital role here. If desktop flow running on machine having a different screen resolution, it may result in failure. The chances of failure are very high in case of unattended mode implementation. In unattended mode, the desktop flow runs in the background and sign into the machine with a default screen resolution. As image fallback works on the concept of identify the image on the screen, so desktop flow running in unattended mode may not able to locate the image due to different screen resolution. So to mitigate that risk, we have three methods to adjust the screen resolution. First one is we can use get screen resolution and set screen resolution action in the desktop flow to adjust the screen resolution. And next method is we can override by editing window registry. So we can navigate to Power Automate desktop window registry, enable screen resolution, enable key, set it to 1, and then adjust the width and height of the screen to get the correct screen resolution. The screen resolution set using window registry will persist. So every time a desktop flow runs, it signs in into with the screen resolution mentioned in the Windows registry. Also, the value of window registry will not be overwritten if Power Automate desktop app is updated. The last method is we can edit UI flow service config file. So this config file is present in the Power Automate desktop installation folder. In config file, we can locate the screen resolution setting and enable screen default resolution enable key. We can set it to true and also adjust the value of width and height and the scale to match the screen resolution that we required for running the desktop flow. The screen resolution set using this method is temporarily and will get reset after Power Automate desktop app is updated to a new version. So I switch to the live demo. In this demo, I will cover local run implementation and attended mode. So in this use case, the bot logs into Microsoft.com site, and then it clicks on shop anchor button. And then then it closed the browser because the bot don't have so much money to buy the desktop. So this is the use case. It's very simple. Let me open the desktop flow. So in desktop flow, we have three actions. First, it will launch the Microsoft.com site. And the window state, it will, open in maximize window. Then the next action is, as I mentioned, it will click the shop now anchor button and navigate to the next page. And lastly, it just use a close web browser action to close that browser instance. So first, let's run this in local mode. Here you go, it launches the Microsoft.com site. Next, it will click the shop now button. And last, it will close this browse instance. So far, so good. So let's explicitly make this selector, invalid by giving the wrong name. So next, so this shop now 1, 2, 3, it will not able to, locate on the page. So let's run now. Definitely this time it will fail to locate this anchor tag and the flow will return an error. Here you can see the error says it is not able to find this anchor tag with a text shop now 1234. So this is where image as fallback feature comes to the rescue. So we will edit the selector, and there you can see image as a fallback feature. So we just click it. So what it does, it goes to the parent page, and it will ask to capture the image of this button, which for which we have a invalid selector. Yeah, so it has captured the image now. And what other operation we can perform is we can repair an image. So later, let's say the developer of that Microsoft.com site, they have changed this text to somewhere else, something like buy later or something like that. Then we can repair that image. We can test that image, and obviously we can rename and delete. So now in the default selector, we have an invalid text. So it should fail. As we have shown in the last run, it failed to identify this. But now we have set up, image fallback mechanism. So now it should not fail because now it will identify the failed selector using an image on the screen. So let's run this time. Here you go. It launches the portal, and now using image recognition technique, it identifies the invalid selector. So see, now it has able to handle those errors by setting up the fallback mechanism. So this is the local run scenario. Let me save this desktop flow. Now I will trigger the same desktop flow from the cloud in attended mode. So this is the cloud flow. It is a manual trigger flow. And here you can see the run mode is attended. And I've already set up the machine connection with this action. And now we have selected image fallback demo desktop to trigger from the cloud. So let's test it. It will make a connection, desktop connection, and then when I click run flow, it will run. Now it will take some time to connect with the machine. The cloud flow will connect to the machine, and then it run the desktop flow. So it takes some seconds in connecting to the machine.
This is where we need the Jeopardy music, right? Da-na-na-na-na.
So Manish, this would require what you're doing right now is using the extra licensing, right? You need the special license to run desktop flows from the cloud.
Yes, you need a Power Automate license. Sorry, Power Process license. So now they have simplified the licensing. It is free, premium, and then we have hosted machine licenses and this unattended licenses. So it comes under premium. Yes, you are right.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Even if you see this diamond, symbol, so it is a premium. I have used premium license. So it has ran successfully, as you can see. So fallback mechanism works even when we trigger this desktop flow from the cloud. So I can show you the logs, window logs. So it has run 1 minute ago. Let me open. Let's see this action logs. So it launches the browser, then click on the web page and close the web browser. So this is how, we can set up the fallback mechanism for invalid selector for UI elements. For unattended run, I've already covered how we can, adjust the screen resolution. So the screen resolution played a very important role, because if you see here, if you have a low screen resolution, even the bot will not able to find that anchor tag image on this page. So it is recommended, or it's a best practice to set the correct screen resolution in unattended mode. Unattended mode is where desktop flow runs in the background. So this is about the demo. I'm going back to the slide. So let me go back to the last slide, which covers the known issues and limitation of image fallback feature. Image fallback feature is not supported for a couple of actions like data extraction and web data extraction. And it also does not work for certain combination of condition with contains and do not contain clause. For action like if window contains, wait for window content, if web page contains, and wait for web page content actions. And the major limitation is, as this feature was introduced in version 2.44, so it supports 2.44 and higher version. And for complete list of limitation, you can visit the link on the Microsoft Learn post.
All right, Manish, very, very cool. I think that I really appreciate you sharing that with us. I don't know how many people found that new to them. I don't use Power Automate Desktop a ton, so this was a super, super cool feature to see that exists and could be set up like that. Didn't even know it was possible. So thank you so much for sharing that with the community. Excellent job. Really, really appreciate it. Great job. All right, well, let's move on. We're doing good on time. We will invite Mr. Young, the Mr. Shane Young, to the stage, paging Dr. Young.
And you want me to talk?
For a limited amount of time. Yes, I know exactly. We have to set the constraints here, right? Yeah.
So 12 o'clock, 12:30?
By tomorrow, yes. If you could finish 12:30 by tomorrow, yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah, so thank you, Manish. Yeah, that was pretty cool to see. Like I mentioned in chat, I didn't know about that feature, so I'm glad you shared that with all of us. So speaking of sharing, I don't have any cute PowerPoint slides because, well, let's face it, I'm not a PowerPoint person. But what I wanted to do was kind of go through and just talk about Gallery.Selected, right? What it is, why I don't like to use it, and then kind of how to get some more advanced, or not more advanced, more user-friendly functionality as we get away from it. So I built a very simple app. Like literally all this app is a gallery, a form, and some buttons. I made the colors pretty-ish. I made them not white and blue. How about that? I made it look different. So to that end, this is your pretty traditional setup, right? Literally just a normal gallery set up to a data source. And then the form, for the item property for the form, I'm using Gallery1.Selected, right? Because this is where we all start, very common. But as you get into things, you just start to find that this has challenges. And so like one of those challenges is, like we can see here, as I click through things, all right, this is all great. But if we go here and we say, all right, I want to do a new record, notice over here, right, we get the blank like you'd expect. But the way the gallery is set up is it uses Gallery.Selected. And so you can see that it's got the little purple bar here and that my font is bigger, right? It gets all like, hey, Shane is selected, but clearly over here on the right side, no one is selected because we're creating a new record. As well, if we go here, let's add a new person for, let's see, how about Clown? And I don't know, let's just make it the first name that comes to mind. How about David? And is there a last name field? There's not, but Warner popped into mind for some reason. But anyway, we don't need any of the fields. But here's the challenge with Gallery.Selected as well, right? So when we say save, what happens? Does it show me David's record? No, right? It immediately goes back to Shane's record, even though way down here at the bottom, there is the David record. So this is also very off-putting for your users, okay? So if we don't want to use Gallery.Selected, how do we get away from that? Okay, so really what's important to understand is that the form for the item property, it just wants a record. It doesn't care how you get there, right? It just wants a record from that data source. It doesn't matter if it's a direct thing like Gallery.Selected, if it's a variable, if it's a lookup function, it just wants a record. You can even handcraft it, it wouldn't matter, right? And that's all Gallery.Selected is. It is the record for the currently selected user, right? In this case, me. So if we understand that that's all it wants, what if we come back over here and say, hey, we know that by clicking on one of these, right, that's how it's changing what's showing up. What if we say, all right, I don't want to depend on the Gallery.Selected. I want to use a variable. So over here in my gallery, I'm going to go to the onSelect property for it. And I'm going to say, hey, onSelect, I want you to create a variable. So we're going to say set var record. And then we're going to set it to this item, right? In your gallery, that represents the current record. So if we click on Chewy's record here, boop, and if we look at var record, now we would see that in the variable is Chewy's data, okay? So if that works, then what if we come over here and say, hey, instead of the item being gallery1.selected, what if we did var record? Okay, same thing, right? Nothing changed. We're just seeing the data over there, like we expected. But once we've kind of start to make the switch, now we can start to do some more interesting things, right? Right. This is just a one-for-one there, but now that we understand it, we can start to look at things like, all right, well, for example, we know that when we click this new button, that, all right, so this is working, but over here, oh, well, we're still seeing the marked record here. So we need to get away from these controls using the selected. So for example, if we look in the gallery and we were to look at the rectangle, right, that's what the little purple bar is down here. What's happening here really is the visible is just being set to this item is selected. So that's one of those built-in properties of galleries that I'm not a fan of, because we don't control that property. We have no say in what that property does, right? We can't change what the user clicked for them. So what if we said, hey, instead, I want your visible property to be if this item, this item.id equals var record.id. So look, now this is still purple. And if we click on someone different, it's still purple. So the purple still works. But we know if we do new, it's still purple. Okay, so that's not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction. So what if we then say, okay, when they click on new, what if when they click on new, the first thing we do before we go into new form is we say set var record to defaults, our data source, in this case, employees. Employee, oh my goodness, new formula bar makes me angry a lot. We'll do that, and we'll do a semicolon. Okay, so now if we say play, so if we click on Greg, we got Greg. Click on Chewy, we got Chewy. Awesome. But if we hit new, look, we're blank over here, which we expect, but no purple bar, right? None of them have the purple bar. So that's one piece fixed. Now, we also can notice pretty quickly here that the font for Chewy and IT is also bigger. So let's go investigate. So if we look at Chewy, this label here, Title 1, there is a property called font weight. And look, if this item is selected, font weight semi-bold, font weight normal. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to come here and we're going to change this to just say if this item bar.id equals bar record.id. Now, in this, the ID column, right, is the primary key for SharePoint, right? It's probably what most people start with. But if we were doing Dataverse, right, we would just be using the unique identifier, the unique identifier column out of Dataverse. If we were using SQL, we'd be using the primary key column there, right? The key here is that you just want something that is unique to be your check. Okay. Now, James has a great idea. Like, hey, why wouldn't you go through and just do a find and replace all, right? Like you could do it all in one fell swoop. You know, and I would say that once you're comfortable with what this is going on, I would 100% do that. But right now we want to kind of do it piece by piece so we figure it out, right? Like we understand what's going on. So speaking of that, right, we know that we have the same problem with executive. Now, we could just go here and make that same exact change. Honestly, though, if I'm bothering to change this, what I would prefer you do is say, okay, well, I know that I want it basically to do whatever Title I does, right? So we know Title I's font weight is right. So what if we go to this one and we just say, hey, your font weight is Title I font weight. So then now, whatever fixes, whatever changes we make to Title I's font weight is just going to perpetuate itself, you know, throughout. So anytime that I've got any type of formula like this that is referenced or that is, you know, the same, I'm going to just change it in one place and then reference it in others. So that way I'm not rewriting that if formula, you know, 25 different times. I'm just saying, hey, that one's Title I's right. Everybody else just do whatever Title I is. Same type of thing. Like if we decide we want to add a field here, I would not go up and say insert a new label because I didn't have to do all the formatting, right? I would grab this one, copy and paste, and then wait, pull this down, right? And then just change this to be this item dot, I don't know, favorite color value. But now I know that it's following, right, like it should. So if we cancel, we go in here and choose, right? All of those are font weighted right. Everything looks good. And then when we hit new, okay, that is one away. Okay, so feeling pretty good about that. Now there's a couple other pieces we want to fix here. So the next one that I really want to fix is that we know if we create a new one, right? So new 2, and we won't even bother with the rest of the data. Well, we got to put a first name in here so we can find it. You know, Ralph is very chatty in chat, so we'll use him. And so if we do new 2 and Ralph, if we say save, okay, we know that's going to get created. But what happens here, right? Ralph is still not selected down here. This form is blank. So, you know, not perfect. All right. So what do we want to do? So now that you've switched to the model of using the variable, you've got to be more purposeful, right? There's more things you need to fix. And so one of them we want to fix is we want to update that variable with whatever record has been created or modified using our form. Now, a lot of people are very tempted to go here to the submit button or the save button in this case, right? Whatever I call this button, and change the on select. Okay, write this on your hand if you don't know this already. You should never, ever, 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 ever have code after submit form on a button. Okay, if you want something to happen after they click on this button, what do I want you to do? That code 100% of the time, you go to the form and you're going to find that your form has an on success property. The on success property fires when that form is successfully saved. Okay, very important. So what do we want to happen when this form is saved? We're going to say set our record, our variable again. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, I want you to use the form. So this is form 1. So instead of putting the form name here like I could, we're going to use self. So look at yourself and use the last submit. Self.last submit on a form is the last record that was saved, right? Whether it was a new form that was being created, an edit form, any of those things. So the beauty of this now is if we go back over here, let's start with Nicola, right? So we're here. Oh, we want to do a new record. Want to do a new record, right? So this is test 3 or 4, whatever number I just typed in. And it looks like Jason is the first name I see over in chat. So Jason is now famous. And so when we say save this time, boop, if we look over here, we've got Jason. It's all highlighted the way we did. But what happened? I had to scroll down to the bottom. So how do we fix that? How do we get them down to that bottom record? What we're going to do here for Jason is we're going to go back to the gallery and we're going to look and note that galleries have a default property. Very few people use the default property of galleries. But if we set this to var record now, okay, let's cancel. Let's go back up here at the top. Let's go click on some people, right? We're clicking. Okay, this is all working the way we expect. But notice that like when I click on Sarah here, watch what happens when I click on Sarah. She jumps to the top of the list because when we click on Sarah, it sets the variable to be Sarah, and then it sets the default to be the variable, and so it then makes that the top item. So if that makes sense, then when we do our next new one, I don't have any new names over there. Who am I going to use? Hopefully someone types something soon. We need a new name, new person. All right, well, it's going to be Vesa then. All right, so if we do Vesa, then we're going to say save. Now watch what happens. Not only are we going to update the variable, we should jump to Vesa's record in the gallery. Let's hit save. Boop. Look at that. And so way down here is Vesa's record. I should have changed it to test 5. Sorry, I'll fix it. Test 5, save. But now, right, like this is the way that it is all working, right? Everything is connected and you're able to drive a better experience for your users because instead of just counting on what they collect, goodness gracious, talking is hard. Instead of counting on what they clicked, right, and always working off of is selected or gallery.selected, like what you can't control as the developer, I like to control things. I'm a very controlling person. But now that you're using everything set to that variable, yes, it required some rework, some configuration, but now we can control what goes in here. Now, if you're doing like deep linking examples, you can deep link them right into the thing, right? All of these things open for you as you get away from it. Will says, hey, would you want the gallery jumping around each time a user selects an entry? Right, like that sometimes is off-putting, Will. So it's kind of up to you. If your users hate it so much that they don't, that it drives them crazy, then you could incorporate another variable that says, hey, only set the only use the default for the gallery after they create a new record. Like there is, you could add another layer of shenanigans in here, but if I do that, that'll take away from David's time, so I can't do it. But the good news is you've got all the pieces. Now all the control is up to you. Same type of thing. Like think about potentially setting var record on whatever brings them to the screen, right? So the navigate button that brings them to the screen, maybe you want to set var record to, jump to the latest item or the one the most important to them. Like you just have so much control once you get away from the selected concept. So, all right, that's what I've got. I try to keep up with chat. I probably missed some of them, so I will go answer any of those here in just a second. But lots of fun here. Nothing earth-shattering, but just another little tool in your belts. David, would you like to now take over and show them the fun things that you have in store for today?
Yes, yeah. In fact, it's a little awkward because mine was on how to start using Gallery.Selected everywhere. I'm just kidding.
That's why I went first. I want to make sure you look
bad. That's right. We're a team. That's okay. You don't have to work hard to make me look bad, so I appreciate that. All right, everybody, let's get into our last demo. I'm going to take that on for us today. We're going to talk about Power Platform, specifically Power Apps component library. So who am I? I'm David Warner. I do some stuff in the community, work for Quizzitive. Thanks for watching. So what is the component libraries I talk about? Well, like a Jedi, you're going to master reusability, you will. That didn't sound anything like Yoda, but you're going to, like a Jedi with component libraries, right? You're going to master reusability. That's the whole point. So today we're going to talk about what are component libraries. We're going to see a use case of a Jedi Council request app, a little simple thing using an About Us page and how you could use a component library, say, for example, in that particular use case. And then leveling up, that's what's next from Padawan to Jedi Master with advanced component libraries. So first, what exactly is a component library? Well, components are obviously reusable little components or modules that you can create within Power Apps that can be used within your Power App and multiple screens, and that way you're not having to recreate every single thing every single time. A component library allows you to couple or group a number of components into one entity or module that can be used in many apps, and then as you update the component library, those apps get alerted that a change has occurred. So now you've got this one centralized repository that you can access from all your apps, and your app makers can reference that and use it. And when you need to update it, they magically get the updates without having to go into each and every app and change each and every instance of where it was used, right? Pretty cool. Very useful. Don't know how heavily used it is, but it is extremely, extremely powerful. So let's talk about our use case. We're going to create a Jedi Council request app, and it is going to have an About Us page. We want a couple of things. We want there to be a couple of customizable properties within the About Us page. So things like the app name and the app version. That makes sense. It's going to be different from each app to app. And that way, within the app, you can provide those properties that define what your app name is, what your app version is. But then maybe we want some global properties that are associated to the app on the About Us page. So things like legal or disclaimers, global values, stuff like that. Okay, so we want to make sure that we have that ready and all that stuff can be populated. So let's take a quick look at how we're going to do that. Joe, this is a quick glimpse of those dynamic properties. So you can see here, I've highlighted some custom properties that I've created within my component. We'll go and see this live in a moment, but just shows you where I'm kind of connecting these properties. These are input properties, they're just text, right? So on the app side, when it inherits this component library, which is what you're looking at, it can make a change to the about, and you see it says sample app there and app name on the right. And then as I go through, I can adjust the app version information associates to the custom property for app version, and of course any known issues we want to potentially share about that particular app. So these are things that are configurable on the app side. Now on the component side, we've got things that are kind of hard coded from the component developer or the component maker. So of course, it's natural. We can't be responsible for, damages by Sith Lords and Death Star accidents or Imperial takeovers, right? Lightsaber burns and all that need to be reported to HR. That's normal stuff, right? And of course, if you feel a disturbance in the Force, it's a feature, not a bug, right? But we also want to be able to identify current updates. And so that's something that we're going to update on the component library side, and push over onto the app side. So enough talking. Let's see what this looks like in action. So I'm going to go over here into my Power Apps environment, and I'm at make.powerapps.com, and you're going to find component libraries here on the left, right? And if you don't, you can always get to them, and you can go to Discover All, and that'll show you component libraries. But I have mine pinned, and it makes it super easy because I am a big fan of component libraries. So I've got my Jedi Council component library here ready to go. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to edit that. And as we showed in the slides, there are properties associated to that that I can adjust and have the app adjust each time, right? So as it loads here, we're going to see that information is there. So again, about sample app, if I click on that, I'm pulling in the app name, right, which is coming. If I click on my component, if I click on that and I click on the component, we can see those custom properties right over here. And so that app name is what is associated right up here. And of course, I've clicked off it, so you don't see it on the side, but that's what clicks over to that property inside of my component library. Now, these are all properties that you can adjust, right? Now, the legal and disclaimer are things that I'm setting in the actual component library. Now, if you're not familiar with components, this is obviously just a little page you can associate and adjust. I'm making it very simple. You also have a screens feature here. Now, it's important to note that when you're within a component or a component library, screens is just for testing, right? So if I wanted to come over to screens and I wanted to insert my component, right, I've got it available here, and I can do that. I could drop it onto my screen. But as I'm doing that here within the scope of the component or the component library, this is really just for testing, right? This screen does not exist in the app when you import it and stuff like that. So it's important to know that that's really just there for testing. All the work that you do is mostly here on the component side. And you can have more than one component, right? This is a component library, so I could include multiple components here. We're going to focus just on the About Us for right now. So let's move over to an app that I've set up to consume that. All right, so I've got my Jedi Council requests. I've just wired up a quick little information button down here, right? When I click on it using the Alt key, I'm not within play, obviously, so I can have it show up and hide as I want. What I've done is I've associated to those properties that are specific to my app, just values over here, right? So we could make this dynamic, but for now I've just hard-coded in Jedi Council request. That's what it is, version 1.55, and no known issues, right? Now you may be saying, well, wait a second, how did you even get the component in there? I preset it up for time, but if you are like, hey, where do I get my components? You can come over to the Insert tab on the left. And the documentation needs to be updated a little bit for this. It used to show that you would import it a different way, but the way you get to it is via these icons right there. One is for refreshing, which we'll see live in a moment, and one is for importing. So if I were to click the little Get More Components button, it brings in the ability, and I'll refresh this, and I don't know why it's not showing me. It should be showing me my component. Something's kind of janky right now. It's literally just working, and it would show, and you'd be able to import it. So it could be that I need to refresh this or something. But I've already imported it, right? And you can see that right here. And that's how you would typically get it in, is utilizing that Get More Components. All right. Now, the thing is that I'm updating all of that, and I want to now come in and update a global update, right? So, for example, if I'm on the corporate side and we've got a global update that needs to be imported into the application, how would we do that, right? So let's go back over to our component library, and I'm doing these in two different browser sessions just because that way there's not conflict with the global or the client-side variables and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to come into current updates, and I'm just going to paste in some requests, right? So we've had requests from everybody around the galaxy for dark mode. I mean, really, dark mode in a Jedi app? It seems a little bit, not appropriate. So we're just going to say, despite countless requests from users across the galaxy for dark mode, we regret to inform you that this will not be implemented, because really, do we need to explain? Dark mode is fancy outfits and fingertip lighting, but let's be honest, none of that will help you get your work done. Stick to the light. It's Jedi approved, comes with your lightning bolts, right? So we want everybody to be aware of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to save this, and then we're going to publish it. And when you click publish, there we go, brings up the publish, and I'm just going to click publish this version. Now you could also, and should, include some documentation about what we did. We'll just say updated global alerts, or whatever we called it, publish this version, global updates, and now it's been published. If I go back to my app, there's a couple of ways in which I could get the updates for this. One of which is right here on the insert, right? So if I click on that, it should let me know, hey, yeah, see, an update has applied, right? Something has happened, and I can click update. When I do that, you'll notice, bam, automatically inherits. Now, this is a very simple use case. All I've really done is updated text. But if I were using this app, or this component, I should say, component library, across a plethora of apps or pinatas, right? All I need to do is update it once, and then all the makers will get the alert. Now, I knew an update occurred, and I was manually checking for a component library update. But you may say, what if you don't know? What if you do have a ton of apps and you don't know that an update has occurred, and maybe you need to get the update or whatever the case may be? Great question. Let's see how that works. Let's come back in and let's revert this to no current updates, and let's publish again. Click saving, it's saving, and it's going to publish. I'm going to publish this version, and then I'm going to come back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my app, and I'm going to exit. And you obviously want to make sure you're doing good communication around your software, who's using what. You want to have a good community of practice and stuff like that. But if you just want to ensure that you're getting and alerted, you can come back in. Jedi Council requests, right, is my app. So I'm just going to go back in and edit this. And ideally, if you're editing apps and creating apps, you're probably in there fairly frequently. Now, when I come back in, what's going to happen is it's going to tell me, hey, something has changed. Let me say skip, and you'll notice that component library updates available, right? So I maybe didn't know an update was available, but as I'm doing my normal due diligence in business of building apps and creating cool stuff, I am getting alerted right here on what happened, what update there was, right? And now instead of having to remind myself to go in here and click the check for library updates all the time, I'm alerted to when this happens. So now I can click review. It tells me that there's been an update, when it was, and of course I didn't put any information, but it would show up, and I can click update. And now it lets me know, hey, selected components were successfully imported. If I click on that, bam, no current updates, and now has been updated, right? So a very, very simple use case here, but as you could imagine, there is a lot of power behind this because you can wrap up a ton of valuable components into a component library that do a lot of cool things. This is just a very simple About Us page, but a lot of very cool things and functionality that can then be used and reused across your app ecosystem. You don't reinvent the wheel every single time. You could use these for headers, for footers, for menus, for blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on and on, right? So you want to make sure that you're using it and thinking about how you could use it. Save your precious time for the cool things that you want to do. All right, so what is next? I'm a big fan of these. I'm going to talk more about them in future sessions and on other calls. Leveling up from very simple use cases like we just showed to Jedi Master, right? So think about things like theme engines. I know we've got modern theming, but you could also add additional theming engine capability to identifies other properties like iconography collections or maybe logos or fonts or a variety of other things, animation libraries. There's also enhanced properties. Now, these are experimental, and they've been experimental for a long time, but they're super powerful. So hopefully they'll go to preview and GA, but they provide extended capabilities for your component libraries to actually execute on events. So you click on a button inside of your component from the app, and you can alert the app that happened and do something with it, and vice versa, right? You can send functions into the app or from the app into the component library. Super, super cool, super powerful. Hopefully they will go to GA once the Copilot culture sends to slow down on us. It's probably what's been focusing on. So really cool features. Be on the lookout for more of this. If you'd like to learn more, here's some resources, some Force Essentials, right? The component docs. You can get there by going to pacomp.m365.ms, and the library, component library docs, pacomplib.m365.ms. All right. Whew, we are just about at time, everybody, so let's wrap this call up. We've got some resources available to you, the community front door, all the videos and samples that we talked about throughout the call. We've got our community forums for Power Apps and Power Automate, Power Pages. Please take advantage of those, absolutely. They are all there for you for free, and we absolutely love that you're getting more involved. All right, the other community calls, there are lots of them. We welcome you to attend each and every single one of them. The Tuesday calls are with Microsoft PMs. That means you're going to get it directly from the horse's mouth. That's right, that horse. So that is on Tuesdays, every Tuesday. You are on the Power Platform monthly call. The Office add-ins is available. And our two sibling bi-weekly calls, M365 and Power Platform Community bi-weekly, and the Vive Connection SharePoint Framework, which is tomorrow. Those just offset, but it is every single Thursday at 7 a.m. Pacific. You can get access to all the calls at aka.ms/community/calls. Definitely get all of them on your calendar. They are like a crystal ball into what's now, what's new, what's next for you in the community. It's hard to keep track of everything, so it's cool to see how other people are using that. The demo sessions for next Tuesday, Kathy Dew is going to talk about the latest features within SharePoint brand, and then Bob German and Ika Boss are going to talk about intro to building M365 Copilot agents. So we look forward to that on Tuesday. All right, we also have our Discord server. So if you want to show your kids that you're cool and hip, you can join our Discord. This is a great single one-stop shop, if you will, to talk about all things community. We are excited. Over 2,300 members now, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. We also would love to get some feedback from you on the calls. If you'd like to see anything improved or if things are working, helps us ensure that we're going in the right direction and all that good stuff. The recording will be available in 24 hours or less on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel at ak.ms/community/YouTube. Subscribe, be alerted as soon as it drops. You might see in the chat that is available for download. It is not unless you're in the tenant, so that is the best way to get up to date and stay up to date. You can also follow us on X or Twitter, as well as our LinkedIn community. The next call is a month from today, that third Wednesday of November, November 20th. We will be there for you with more even cooler, or not cooler, even still cool demos, I should say. And we look forward to seeing each and every one of you. Shane, any final words?
No, I'm just a reminder, right? Manish, great job. Really enjoyed the ideas, the new concepts. And then, right, you guys don't want to hear me and David talk all the time, right? I mean, who wants to listen to either of us? So you guys sign up to be presenters, jump on here. You've got things to share. You've got things to teach. You saw mine was intro content, right? Like you don't have to have amazing new stuff, just solid Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, any of this, the Power Platform is all fair game. So please sign up to be a presenter.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very good. All right. Well, on behalf of Shane and myself and Vesa and the rest of the team, thank you all for being amazing and attending today. Have a great rest of your week. We've got another community call tomorrow, so feel free to join in there. We'd love to see you, and we love you for all the amazing stuff that you're doing. Woo! Keep it up. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.